Dr. Maria Santos wiped the sweat from her forehead as she finished taking another blood sample. The medical bay of the exploration ship Venture was busier than usual. For the past 3 months, they had been meeting new alien species almost every iOS week. Each time they made contact, Maria had to run medical tests on both humans and aliens to make sure it was safe for everyone to be in the same room. She walked over to her computer and looked at the test results. The Zephyrians, tall blue, creatures with 4 arms, all had the same blood type. Every single one of them. Maria frowned and pulled up the files from last week. The Vortaki, who looked like walking crystals, also had identical blood. So did the Narians, the fish-like people they met near the water planet. That's weird, Maria said to herself. She called up all the alien blood tests they had done over the past year, 23 different species, and every single species had just one blood type among all their people. Captain Jake Morrison walked into the medical bay carrying a cup of coffee. He was a tall man with gray hair and kind eyes. "How are our new friends doing, Doc?" "They're fine, Captain, but I found something strange." Maria turned her screen so Jake could see it. "Look at this. Every alien species we've met has only one blood type. But humans have 4 main types plus all the variations." Jake took a sip of his coffee and shrugged. "Maybe we're just special that way. Nature works differently on different planets." "I thought so too, but look at these numbers." Maria pulled up a new screen. "I asked Alex to run some calculations. The computer says the chances of this happening naturally are almost 0. Alex was the ship's artificial intelligence. The computer voice came through the speakers. "Dr. Santos is correct, Captain. The probability of humans being the only species with multiple blood types is 1 in several billion. This suggests an artificial cause rather than natural evolution." Jake set down his coffee cup. The smile left his face. "Artificial? What do you mean?" "Someone or something made us this way on purpose," Maria said. "But I don't know why." Lieutenant Amy Chen walked into the medical bay. She was young and smart, with short black hair and bright eyes. As the ship's communications officer, she talked to aliens every day. "Captain, I need to tell you something about our alien meetings." "What is it, Amy?" "I've been keeping track of which humans attend each diplomatic meeting. Something strange is happening. When I'm in the room, the Zephyrians are very friendly and helpful, but when Ben Parker goes instead of me, they become difficult and refuse to make deals. Ben Parker was the ship's tech specialist. He was a quiet man who preferred machines to people." "The same thing happens with the Vortaki," Amy continued. "They love talking to Rick Davis, but they barely look at Maria during meetings." Commander Rick Davis was the ship's second in command. He was smart and tough, with many years of military experience. "I've noticed that too," Rick said as he joined them in the medical bay. "The crystal people treat me like I'm their long-lost friend, but they act cold toward everyone else." Maria felt her heart beating faster. "Amy, what's your blood type?" "Type O." "Why?" "Ben is type B, and Rick is type AB. I'm type A." Maria turned to her computer and started typing quickly. "Captain, I need to check something. Can you call everyone to the meeting room?" An hour later, the senior staff sat around the big table in the meeting room. Maria had tested everyone's blood type and made charts on her computer. "Look at this pattern," she said, pointing to the screen. "Every time we send someone with type Q, O blood to meet the Zephyrians, the talks go well. Type A blood works best with the Narians. The Vortaki prefer type AB, and the rock people from Titan 7 respond well to type B." "That can't be right," said Ben Parker. "Blood types are just medical stuff. They don't affect how aliens treat us." "The evidence says otherwise," Alex announced. "I have analyzed all diplomatic encounters over the past year. The correlation between human blood types and alien responses is 96% accurate." Captain Morrison stood up and walked to the window. Outside, stars filled the black space around them. "So you're telling me that aliens can somehow tell what blood type we have and they treat us differently because of it?" "It looks that way, Captain," Maria said. "But there's more. I compared human blood to alien blood under the microscope. Alien blood is simple. It just carries oxygen and nutrients, But human blood has extra proteins and markers that serve no biological purpose we can identify. Amy leaned forward in her chair. What kind of markers? Complex protein chains that look almost like computer code. Each blood type has different patterns. Maria switched to a new screen showing microscope images. Look at these structures. They're too organized to be natural. Someone designed them. Rick Davis crossed his arms. Are you saying someone changed human blood on purpose, like we're some kind of experiment? I'm saying our blood doesn't look like it evolved naturally, and somehow aliens can read these protein patterns and respond to them. The room went quiet. Everyone stared at the images on the screen. The tiny structures in human blood looked like circuits or computer chips made of organic material. Captain, Morrison turned back to the group. Alex, search all our databases. Look for any information about human blood types and aliens. Check everything we know about human evolution and early history. Searching now, Captain. This may take several hours. Take all the time you need. Jake sat back down at the table. People, I want this kept quiet until we know more. Don't discuss this with anyone outside this room. Maria saved her files and closed her computer. Her hands were shaking slightly. Captain, what if we're not really from Earth? What if someone put us there? Let's not get ahead of ourselves, Doc. We need more facts before we start changing everything we believe about human history. But as the meeting ended and everyone left the room, Jake Morrison stayed behind. He looked out at the stars and wondered if somewhere out there, someone was watching the humans on the venture and waiting to see what they would discover next. The thought made him feel very small and very far from home. Alex's voice came through the speakers. Captain, I have found something interesting in the ancient history files. You should see this. Jake Morrison took a deep breath. He had a feeling that everything was about to change. The shuttle landed on the rocky surface of planet Kepler 442c with a soft thud. Commander Rick Davis looked out the window at the strange ruins in the distance. Ancient towers made of black stone reached toward the purple sky. Nobody knew who built them or when. Alex found these ruins in the old database, Rick said to his team. The first human explorers who came here 50 years ago couldn't figure out what they were for. The doors wouldn't open and none of the technology worked. Dr. Maria Santos checked her equipment one more time. Maybe we'll have better luck. Our tools are much better now. Lieutenant Amy Chen stood up and stretched. The long flight from the venture had made her back sore. How big are these ruins? About the size of a small city, said Ben Parker, reading from his tablet. The buildings are connected by underground tunnels. The whole place is like a giant maze. They walked across the empty ground toward the ruins. The planet had no life on it, just rocks and dust. The air was thin, but breathable. Their boots made crunching sounds on the dry ground. The first building they reached was as tall as a 20-story office building. It was made of smooth black stone that felt warm to the touch. Strange symbols were carved into the walls, but nobody could read them. Look at this, Amy said, pointing to a large crystal panel next to what looked like a doorway. The crystal was about the size of a dinner plate and completely clear. I've never seen anything like it. Rick walked over to the panel. The old report said these crystals were dead. No power, no response to anything. He reached out and touched the surface. Nothing happened. Maria tried next. She placed her hand flat against the crystal. Still nothing. Ben shook his head. Same as always. Just dead rock. Amy stepped forward. Let me try. She put her palm against the crystal panel. The crystal suddenly glowed with bright blue light. Everyone jumped back in surprise. What did you do? Rick asked. Nothing different, Amy said, staring at the glowing crystal. I just touched it like you did. The blue light pulsed slowly, like a heartbeat. Then the wall next to the crystal began to move. A section of the black stone slid aside, revealing a doorway. Incredible, Maria whispered. She pulled out her scanner and pointed it at Amy. Your blood type is O, right? Yes, but what does that have to do with anything? Before Maria could answer, Rick stepped forward and touched the crystal again. This time it changed from blue to bright gold. The doorway stayed open, but new symbols appeared on the walls around them. "Rick, you're type AB," Maria said, getting excited. "Ben, try touching it." Ben Parker walked up to the crystal and placed his hand on it. The light changed to green. More symbols lit up on the walls, and they could hear a humming sound coming from deep inside the building. "My turn," Maria said. When she touched the crystal, it glowed red. The humming got louder, and more sections of the wall began to move. 4 different colors for 4 different blood types, Amy said. "That can't be a coincidence." They walked through the doorway into a long hallway. The walls were covered with the same strange symbols, but now many of them were glowing with soft light. Their footsteps echoed in the empty space. "This place has been dead for thousands of years," Rick said. "How is it suddenly working? Maybe it was just waiting for the right people," Maria replied. They found more crystal panels throughout the building. Each one responded only to certain blood types. Amy's touch opened doors that led to rooms full of what looked like computers. Rick could activate panels that showed star maps on the walls. Ben's blood type unlocked storage areas filled with strange machines. Maria found rooms with crystal screens that showed moving pictures of aliens they had never seen before. "It's like this whole place was designed for humans," Ben said. "But that's impossible. These ruins are older than human civilization." In the deepest part of the building, they found a large round room with a crystal panel in the center. This one was different from all the others. It was bigger and had 4 sections, each one a different color. "I think we need all 4 blood types to activate this one," Amy said. They looked at each other nervously. What if something dangerous happened? "We came here to explore," Rick said. "Let's see what this thing does." They each placed a hand on a different section of the crystal. Amy touched the blue part, Maria the red, Ben the green, and Rick the gold. The entire room filled with light. The walls became transparent, showing them a view of space around the planet. But this wasn't the empty space they knew. In the crystal's vision, the space around them was full of ships and stations and other things they couldn't identify. A voice spoke to them, but not in any language they knew. Somehow they understood it anyway. "Welcome, children of the Makers. You have come, at last." The 4 humans looked at each other in shock. The voice continued. "You carry the keys in your blood, the keys to unlock what was left for you. But first you must prove you are ready." The light faded, and the room returned to normal. But now, they could see new doorways that hadn't been there before. Each doorway glowed with a different color that matched their blood types. "Keys in our blood," Maria said quietly. "It's not just about blood types. Someone put these markers in human blood on purpose. We're meant to be here." "But who are the Makers?" Amy asked. "And what did they leave for us?" Rick was already walking toward the golden doorway. Only one way to find out. As they separated to explore their individual paths, none of them noticed the small device in the corner of the room that had started sending a signal deep into space. Far away, something that had been waiting for a very long time received that signal and began to move toward their location. The humans were about to learn that they were not the only ones interested in the ancient ruins. Others had been searching for these keys for centuries, and they would do anything to keep humans from finding what the Makers had hidden among the stars. Amy Chen walked through the blue-lit tunnel that opened only for her. The walls were smooth and covered with moving pictures that seemed to tell a story. She saw images of stars being born and planets forming. Then she saw creatures that looked almost human, but taller and with silver skin. The tunnel led to a circular room where a soft voice spoke to her. "Welcome, guardian of the first key. Please place your hand on the center console." Amy looked around the empty room. In the middle was a small crystal platform that glowed with blue light. She walked over and put her hand on it. Suddenly her mind filled with images and words that weren't her own. She saw the history of the galaxy from long ago. The silver-skinned people who called themselves the architects had built a great civilization that spanned thousands of worlds. They were wise and peaceful, creating beautiful cities and amazing technology. But then something terrible happened. A dark force came from beyond the galaxy. The architects called them the Devourers. These creatures destroyed everything they touched, turning entire star systems into empty space. We knew we would not survive, the voice in Amy's head said, so we created a plan to save what we could. We found a young species on a small blue planet. They were clever and strong, but still learning. We decided to give them a gift. Amy saw images of early humans living in caves and hunting with simple tools. Then she saw the architects visiting Earth in secret, changing something in human blood. They gave humans 4 different blood types, each one containing special information. These blood types are not random, the voice continued. They are keys to our greatest treasures. When humans were ready, they would find our ruins and unlock what we left behind. The images showed the architects hiding technology and knowledge on planets throughout the galaxy. They built testing centers like the one Amy was standing in. Then they went to fight the Devourers, knowing they would probably die. But we survived in you, the voice said. Every human carries part of our legacy in their blood. You are our children now, meant to take our place as guardians of the galaxy. Amy's head was spinning with all the new information. She stumbled out of the blue room and found the others waiting in the main chamber. They all looked shocked and confused. "Did you guys see what I saw?" Ben Parker asked. His face was pale and his hands were shaking. "The architects," Maria Santos said quietly. "They created us, didn't they? Not our bodies, but our blood. They changed us into something more than just humans." Rick Davis nodded slowly. "I saw the war. The Devourers destroyed everything. The architects knew they were going to lose, so they made us into their backup plan. They sat down on the floor of the ancient room, trying to understand what they had learned. Each of them had seen the same basic story, but from different angles. Amy had learned about the keys in human blood. Ben had seen how the technology worked. Maria had watched the genetic changes the architects made to humans. Rick had witnessed the final battle against the Devourers. "So we're not really human," Amy said. "Not completely. We're still human," Rick replied. "But we're also something more. The architects didn't change our bodies or our minds. They just added something to our blood that would help us when we were ready." Maria pulled out her tablet and started taking notes. "This explains everything. Why aliens react differently to our blood types. Why these ruins respond to us. We're carrying ancient technology in our DNA. But what are we supposed to do with it?" Ben asked. "The architects are gone. The war happened thousands of years ago." The voice that had spoken to them earlier came back, but now they could all hear it. "The war is not over. The Devourers still exist, still consume worlds and civilizations. They have been searching for our hidden treasures for centuries. Now that you have activated this facility, they will come." A chill ran down Amy's spine. "They're coming here?" "Yes. They detected the signal when you unlocked the central chamber. But do not fear. This was always part of the plan. You are ready to learn your true purpose." New doorways opened in the walls around them. Beyond the doorways, they could see rooms filled with amazing technology. Machines that could heal any injury. Computers that could think faster than any human mind. Weapons that could destroy entire fleets of enemy ships. Each blood type unlocks different gifts, the voice explained. Type O blood opens our defense systems. Type A unlocks our medical technology. Type B activates our computer networks. Type AB reveals our most powerful weapons. "And together?" Rick asked. "Together you can access everything. You can become what we once were, guardians of all life in the galaxy." But as they stood up to explore the new rooms, warning lights began flashing throughout the ancient building. The voice became urgent. "They come sooner than expected. The Devourers have found you. You must learn quickly or everything we saved will be lost." Through the transparent walls they could see dark shapes moving against the stars. Ships that looked like they were made of shadow and hate were approaching the planet. Amy looked at her friends. A few days ago they had been simple space explorers. Now they were humanity's last hope against an ancient evil. "How many ships?" she asked. Hundreds, the voice replied. But remember, you carry the blood of guardians. The architects chose your species for a reason. You have strength they do not expect. The four humans looked at each other and nodded. They had come to this planet looking for answers about their strange blood types. Instead, they had found their destiny. Now they had to prove they were worthy of the trust the architects had placed in them so long ago. The real test was about to begin. The dark ships filled the sky above the ancient ruins. Amy Chen watched through the crystal windows as hundreds of devourer vessels blocked out the stars. Each ship looked like it was made of black metal twisted into angry shapes. Red lights pulsed along their sides like evil eyes. "How long do we have?" Rick Davis asked the ancient voice that spoke through the ruins. "Minutes, not hours," the voice replied. "They will attack soon, but there is hope. Deep beneath this facility lies the architect's final weapon. It can destroy their entire fleet." Maria Santos was studying her tablet, reading information that appeared on the screen as fast as she could scroll. "It says here that the weapon needs all four blood types to work. We have to activate it together, but the process is dangerous." "How dangerous?" Ben Parker asked, though he already knew he wouldn't like the answer. "The weapon draws power from human life force. Using it might kill whoever activates it." The four friends looked at each other in the flickering light of the ancient chamber. They had families back on Earth, dreams and plans for the future, but outside the devourer ships were getting ready to attack, and Earth was only a few days away by space travel. "We don't have a choice," Amy said quietly. "If we don't stop them here, they'll follow us back to Earth. Everyone we've ever loved will die." Rick nodded. The voice said the architects chose humans for a reason. Maybe that reason is that we're willing to sacrifice ourselves for others. An explosion shook the entire building. Through the windows they could see devourer fighters shooting at the ruins with energy weapons that left scorch marks on the ancient stone. "The weapon chamber is 5 levels down," the voice said urgently, "but you must each pass through your blood-type chambers first. Only then will you have the knowledge needed to use the weapon safely." They split up, each running toward their colored doorway. Amy raced through the blue tunnel as the building shook around her. Her chamber was filled with floating crystals that glowed when she touched them. Each crystal filled her mind with tactical information: how to fight, how to lead, how to make impossible decisions in battle. In the red chamber, Maria learned about the medical systems that could heal wounds instantly and keep the human body alive even when it should have died. The green chamber taught Ben how to control the ancient computer systems and coordinate attacks across multiple star systems. Rick's golden chamber showed him the most powerful weapons the architects had ever created. When they met back in the central room, they were no longer the same people who had entered the ruins that morning. Each of them now carried knowledge that had taken the architects centuries to develop. "I know how to use their defense systems," Amy said, her eyes glowing with new understanding. "I can keep us alive during the activation process," Maria added. "The computers are responding to me now," Ben said, his hands dancing over crystal controls that had appeared on the walls. "I can coordinate the weapon with our ship's systems. And I know how to aim it," Rick finished. Another explosion, closer. This time, devourer soldiers were breaking through the outer walls of the ruins. They could hear strange howling sounds as the enemy forces searched for them. "Now we go down," Amy said, leading the way to a hidden staircase that had opened in the floor. The weapon chamber was enormous, carved from solid rock deep underground. In the center stood 4 pedestals arranged in a square, each one glowing with a different color. Above them, a massive crystal floated in the air, crackling with energy that hurt to look at directly. "Place your hands on the pedestals," the ancient voice instructed. "But know that once you begin, you cannot stop. The weapon will draw life from each of you until it has enough power to fire." They walked to their pedestals. Amy's was blue, Maria's red, Ben's green, and Rick's gold. The crystals were warm under their palms and they could feel power flowing through them. "On 3, Rick said. 1, 2, 3. They pressed their hands down together. Pain like lightning shot through their bodies. The floating crystal above them began to spin faster, growing brighter with each rotation. Energy flowed from their blood through the pedestals and into the weapon. Amy felt her strength leaving her, but she also felt connected to defensive systems all across the galaxy. She could see devourer ships attacking human colonies light years away. With her mind, she activated ancient protection shields that had been sleeping for thousands of years. Maria's medical knowledge spread through the galaxy's hidden network, healing human soldiers who were fighting hopeless battles against the devourers. Her life force became medicine for thousands of wounded people. Ben felt his consciousness expand into computer systems throughout the galaxy. He could control communication networks, coordinate attacks, and share information instantly across vast distances. His mind became part of a galactic defense network. Rick's knowledge of weapons flowed into every hidden architect facility in the galaxy. Sleeping cannons woke up on dead planets. Ancient battleships powered up in forgotten space yards. His blood became the key that unlocked an army, but the weapon above them was still charging, still drawing their life away. They were getting weaker by the second. "Hold on," Amy whispered through gritted teeth. "We can do this." Above ground, the Devourer fleet was preparing for their final attack. They had found the humans and were ready to destroy them, along with the ancient ruins. But they didn't know that deep underground 4 humans were about to change the course of galactic history. The crystal weapon reached full power. It was ready to fire. "Now," Rick gasped with his last bit of strength. The weapon fired, sending a beam of pure energy up through the planet and into space. But it wasn't just one beam. It was connected to every architect facility in the galaxy. Hundreds of hidden weapons fired at the same moment, creating a network of destruction that reached across the stars. The Devourer fleet above them was vaporized instantly, but more importantly, Devourer fleets throughout the galaxy found themselves under attack from weapons they thought were myths. As the weapon powered down, the 4 humans collapsed. They had given almost everything they had to save their species, but somehow, they were still alive. "You did it," the ancient voice said, and for the first time it sounded proud. "The galaxy is safe, and you survived because you worked together. That is why the architects chose humanity. You are stronger together than apart." Outside, where the Devourer fleet had been, there was only empty space and drifting debris. The ancient enemy had been defeated, but Amy, Maria, Ben, and Rick knew this was just the beginning of their real responsibility as guardians of the galaxy. 3 days later, Amy Chen sat in the captain's chair aboard the Venture, looking at the communication screen. Her body still ached from using the ancient weapon, but she felt different inside, stronger, more aware of the galaxy around them. "Captain Morrison, we're receiving signals from everywhere," she reported. 47 different star systems are sending us messages." Jake Morrison walked over to look at the screen. His face showed amazement and worry at the same time. "What kind of messages?" "All kinds. Some are asking for help, others want to thank us. A few are asking who we are and how we did what we did." Amy paused as another signal came in. "And some are asking if they can visit Earth." Maria Santos entered the bridge carrying a medical report. She looked tired but happy. "Rick and Ben are doing fine. The ancient medical systems healed most of the damage from using the weapon. We should all be back to normal in a few days." "Normal," Jake repeated with a laugh. "I don't think we'll ever be normal again." He was right. When they activated the weapon, something had changed in all 4 of them. They could still feel the connection to the ancient systems scattered across the galaxy. Amy knew the locations of defense networks on dozens of worlds. Maria could sense when humans anywhere in the galaxy were hurt or sick. Ben felt the pulse of computer systems that spanned star systems. Rick understood weapons and military strategies that no human had ever imagined. "Alex, show us the big picture," Jake said. The main screen changed to show a map of the galaxy. Hundreds of green dots appeared, marking the locations of ancient architect facilities that had awakened when the weapon fired. Red dots showed where Devourer fleets had been destroyed. The map looked like a giant web of light stretching across the stars. "The transformation is remarkable," Alex announced. Preliminary reports indicate that 96% of known Devourer forces have been eliminated. The remaining 4% are retreating beyond the galaxy's edge. And the architect facilities? Maria asked. All responding to human genetic signatures. Earth has been classified as the new center of galactic government. Requests for diplomatic contact are arriving every hour. Rick Davis walked onto the bridge, moving slowly but under his own power. I can feel them, he said quietly. The weapon systems on all those worlds, they're waiting for orders. From us? Jake asked. From humans. Any humans with the right blood types. Rick sat down carefully in his chair. The architects built this system to respond to our genetics. We're not just inheriting their technology, we're inheriting their responsibility. Ben Parker appeared, on the screen from the communication room. Captain, I think you need to see this. We're getting a message from Earth. The screen changed to show Admiral Patricia Hayes, the head of Human Space Command. She looked overwhelmed, but excited. Captain Morrison, congratulations on your discovery. Earth's long-range sensors detected what happened at Kepler 442c. We're seeing activity on ancient sites all over human space. What kind of activity, Admiral? Facilities that we thought were dead ruins are coming online. On Mars, the crystal, formations in Olympia Canyon started glowing and responding to touch. The research team there discovered that humans with different blood types can activate different systems. Amy leaned forward. Just like here. Exactly. And we're not the only ones who noticed. Every alien government in known space is requesting immediate meetings with Earth's leaders. Some are offering alliance treaties, others are asking for protection from threats we haven't even discovered yet. Jake Morrison felt the weight of command settling on his shoulders, but it was different now. He wasn't just responsible for one ship anymore. Somehow, humanity had become responsible for an entire galaxy. Admiral, what are your orders? Return to Earth immediately, bring all the information you've gathered, and Captain. She paused, looking serious. Bring your team. The 4 people who activated that weapon. Earth needs them. The communication ended, leaving the bridge quiet except for the hum of the ship's systems. So what happens now? Amy asked. Do we become the new rulers of the galaxy? Not rulers, Maria said thoughtfully. Guardians. That's what the architect voice called us. We're supposed to protect other species, not control them. But how do we protect an entire galaxy? Ben asked through the communication system. There are billions of people on thousands of worlds. How can 4 humans handle that? Rick smiled, though he still looked tired. We're not the only ones. Think about it. Humans have been spreading across the galaxy for 50 years. There are human colonies everywhere, and they all have people with different blood types. Amy understood what he meant. The weapon didn't just activate ancient technology. It awakened something in every human in the galaxy. We all carry the architect legacy now. Exactly, Rick continued. Every human with Type O blood can access defense systems. Every Type A can use medical technology. Type B controls computers and communications. Type AB unlocks the weapons. And together, Maria added, we can do anything the architects could do. Jake Morrison stood up and walked to the front of the bridge. Through the main window he could see stars that looked different now. Each point of light might hide an ancient facility waiting for humans to discover it. Each star system might contain aliens who needed protection or help. Set course for Earth, he ordered. Maximum speed. As the venture turned toward home, signals kept arriving from across the galaxy. The Zephyrians wanted to make a formal alliance with humanity. The crystal people of Vortaki were offering to share their technology in exchange for protection. Species they had never met were asking humans to help solve problems that had existed for centuries. Amy looked at the flood of messages coming in and realized that humanity's greatest adventure was just beginning. They had spent so long wondering if they were alone in the universe. Now they knew they weren't just part of the galactic community. They were its new guardians. You know what's funny? She said to her friends on the bridge. What's that? Jake asked. We came out here looking for aliens and new worlds. Instead, we found out who we really are. Maria smiled. Maybe that was the point all along. As Earth grew larger on their screens, the four humans who had changed the galaxy sat quietly, thinking about the future. They had awakened an ancient legacy, defeated an ancient enemy, and inherited responsibility for countless worlds and species. But most importantly, they had learned that the thing that made humans special wasn't their individual differences. It was how those differences made them stronger when they worked together. The age of human guardianship had begun, and the galaxy would never be the same.